All right, so word problems or applications, we like to call them. Find a linear function to help you answer the question. So, number 6, a gym membership with 2 personal sessions costs $125, while a gym membership with 5 personal training sessions costs $260. What is the cost per session? So, what we're trying to figure out here is actually what the slope is. Like, what's the average rate of change? How is that increasing per number of session? So we're given 2 data values that we can use. We basically have the 2 sessions with a cost of $125. We have 5 sessions, cost $260. So we can make a function, a cost function, and figure out what our y-intercept is, basically our initial fee, and then the cost per session. And that gives us just a lot of information. So to start with, we need to declare our unknowns. We're going to say let x equal the number of sessions, training sessions. And I want to say let c of x, that's my output, equal the cost, total cost, including like my initial fee, my y-intercept. So I have 2 points that I can build from this. So I have the input of 2 sessions. So I have C of 2 is going to be $125. And I also have C of 5 is going to be $260. Now, you could just write it as points, but again, the purpose of this whole section is to get you used to that function talk. So we're going to find the average rate of change from that, or you could just say rate of change. And just subtract our 260 minus 125 divided by our corresponding x's. Just be careful you don't, crisscross them. 5 minus 2 in the denominator. And I will get 135 over 3. Divide that out, you get $45. So that's my cost per session. Now I just have to figure out my y-intercept, my b. So I actually can answer the question with this one. It'll be the cost per session or maybe I think I like saying better, it will cost $45 per session. That kind of sounds a little more everyday language. However, if I wanted to know how to extrapolate that, like, oh, if I did 10 sessions, what's my total cost? We should have a function. So let's just go ahead and figure that out, because I know you're going to have some questions like that later. So we would have, we have our c of x equals 45x plus 35, and then we have 2 points to choose from up here. I'm just going to choose the 2 and the 125. So I'm going to put 125 in for my output equals 45 times 2 for my input plus 30. Sorry, I already gave you the answer. I meant to write B there. So that should be a B. I'm trying to find B, which comes out to 35, which I already know. So anyway, this 45 times 2 is 90. Subtract that from 125 and we get 35. So I just did it so fast in my head. So now our function is going to be total cost will be C of x equals 45x plus 35 is my function if I were asked that. And then there might be a follow-up question. If you did 9 sessions, what would your total cost be? I'm not having you do that one on here, but I'm sure that's going to come up in homework. Number 7, we have a city's population in the year 1960 was 287,500. In 1989, the population was 275,900. Compute the rate of growth of the population and make a statement about the population rate of change in people per year. And again, it doesn't ask you for the function, but we can figure out how to do that too. But we basically have our year. Sometimes you're given that X should be the number of years after a certain date, but this one doesn't really have that. So we're just going to use the dates as is. And these are our 2 points. So we have to declare our unknowns as usual. So we would, I like this dark blue, have to pluck out 2 ordered pairs, or either sometimes you are given it as the y-intercept and rate of change, or sometimes you're given the rate of change in 1 point or something like that. So there's always this mishmash of what you're given, and you have to sort that out. So these are similar to the ones you did in chapter 2, but a little bit different because we were really just having 2 data points. Where the others, you were often given the rate of change and the y-intercept. So for here, we want to call let x equal the year, and let p of x equal the population. Okay. So I have 2 ordered pairs. I have, this is my p of x sub 1, and this is x sub 1. This other number, the 275,900, is p of x sub 2, and the 1989 is x sub 2. Or it could be vice versa, but I'm just saying that's later, so it's the second one. And again, rate of change is 275,900 minus 287,500. And then 1989 minus 1960. Just make sure those correspond, and feel free to speed this up or kind of do it on your own and fast forward. This should be review, and I know I'm going slow though, because for some people they really want the slow, but you can go faster. I'm just trying not to go too fast. So 275,900 minus 287,500 will give us a negative 11,600, all divided by 29. So it was a 29-year span, and I get negative 400 as my answer. So what does that mean? That means there's a decrease. So rate of change is negative by 400 people per year. So assuming that stays consistent, we would interpret that as the population is decreasing by 400 people per year. Make sure you write that in a sentence. Otherwise, you're not going to get full credit there. Another way we could write this, also, I'm just going to write up here, I talked about how we could set our variables to be a number of years after a certain date. So if I let x equal the number of years since 1960, then I can write my equation as p of x equals negative 400x plus that's not going to quite fit, 287,500, because that was my initial, looking at that as my initial start time or population for that particular time period. But you do have to define that X is a number of years after a certain date to write it that way. Okay, so these notes here for the last page is just some how-tos, like identify the input, convert the data to two coordinate pairs, find the slope, write a linear model, use the model to make a prediction, evaluating the function at a given X value, use the model to identify an X value that results in a given Y value, and answer the question posed. So a model is just another way to say a function. So you've done this again with equations. This is the first one's a population growth problem. I'm guessing you can probably do that fairly quickly. That one, you are given the rate of change. We did a lot of those in chapter 2. Number 2, you had similar ones again in chapter 2, but this one's where you have two data points rather than given the rate of change. So you have to look for those words. If you're like, well, is it a rate or is it a point or what? Well, usually it'll tell you that it's growing at a constant rate per something, and if you declare your variables, your input and your output, you can probably see it better, but it does take practicing problems, but also paying attention to them and really studying that and committing that to memory and looking for those general patterns. So these are going to be try-its for you to do, and then I'm going to write up the solutions. I'm not going to do them all out in a video, but if you have questions about them, we can talk about it in class, or you can email me, or it's better to email me or write in the comments in your submission. I see that. But if you write, sometimes people write notes on their the document that they're submitting, and I don't necessarily see those until like when I'm grading it. So comments, though, will come to me in email. Number 3 is very similar to when we compared phone plan type problems, but it's commission. So same type of thing, but with a little different wording. So go for it, pause the video and try those, and then just come back and you'll see the completed answers. I'm just going to put them, I'll put the steps also, but you're going to have to probably watch just a couple of minutes of the video to see the full thing. I'll kind of move it around. Okay, so back to the top here, we have number 1 should be P of t equals 2,500t plus 75,000. Question 2, the answer is C of x equals 0.15x plus 10. The slope means that it increases at a rate of 15 cents per minute. I'm just write increase. And the y-intercept is 0.10. That means the flat monthly rate, or sometimes we call that the fixed cost for each month, is $10. Letter C, for making or using 687 minutes, we plug that into our function and we would get $113.05 is our total cost. Number 3 is the commission problem. So we get a little bit higher for plan A rate, but it actually, like if we think about it as a graph, we're starting lower. So say this is, 10K, 20K, 30K, 40K, and so on. Then we'd be starting at 10,000, and we have kind of a little steeper increase of 9%. The other plan B, though, that one starts higher, so it's 20K base, but then it's a little slower. So there's a sweet spot right here where they meet that this plan A is gonna be better. So that's what we found out. This value here would be $200,000 in sales. So that's not what they make. They get the commission off that, but they need to have quite a bit more. So I guess if you're a good seller, that one's a better deal. If you're not, then you want the higher base salary. So thanks for watching and have a great day.